Every rider dreams of a motorcycle that runs like new for decades, but most unknowingly cut its life in half. In this video, we'll reveal 15 little-known secrets that keep your bike alive forever. Miss even one, and you may already be losing years. Number 15. The oil change discipline. Oil is the lifeblood of every motorcycle. Without it, metal collides with metal, friction builds heat, and the engine wears itself out long before its time. Many riders know they should change their oil, yet too often they wait too long, stretch the miles, or settle for the wrong specification. Old oil does not simply lose its slickness, it becomes corrosive. Acids, carbon, and microscopic shavings begin to circulate, grinding the engine down from within. What looks like clean miles on the outside may already be stolen years from the inside. One longtime rider admitted that ignoring his schedule was the only reason his machine failed after just 50,000 miles. Rain or shine, he stretched past the limits, always late, always careless. He discovered that the true danger was complacency. A man who neglects his engine enough to skip the oil on time breaks a relationship of trust, and that betrayal is repaid the day the motor seizes. Skipping an oil change seems harmless in the moment. The motorcycle still starts, the throttle still responds, and the road still opens ahead. But deep inside, the seals weaken, the bearings wear thin, and the engine slowly loses its voice. By the time the damage is heard, it is too late. Discipline separates riders who trade in their machines after a decade from those who ride the same motorcycle for life. Every on-time oil change is a promise kept. It is not vanity, not overcaution. It is the foundation of longevity. A rider who honors that schedule will always be rewarded with strength, reliability, and a motorcycle that outlasts the years. Number 14. Cooling system respect. For those who ride liquid-cooled motorcycles, the cooling system is the silent guardian of the engine. It protects every cylinder, every gasket, and every bearing from the merciless force of heat. Too many riders ignore it until the day steam hisses from under the seat or the temperature gauge climbs into the red. By then, the damage is done and the cost of neglect is paid in warped heads and ruined seals. Coolant ages just as oil does. Over time, it loses its protective qualities, becomes acidic, and allows corrosion to creep through the radiator and water jackets. Sediment and scale choke the narrow passages where coolant should flow freely. And without that movement, the engine suffocates on its own heat. Once that happens, no oil, no gasket, and no filter can undo the damage. The truth is, caring for the cooling system is neither costly nor difficult. A flush every couple of years, a careful check of hoses and clamps, and the right fluid poured back in are all it takes. Those minutes of attention save thousands of dollars in repairs. Riders who respect their machines understand that heat is as much an enemy as rust. Long rides through summer heat, steep climbs through mountain passes, and slow crawls through traffic all test the cooling system. A neglected one will fail in those moments, but a respected one will carry the engine strong and steady. The rider who values longevity treats coolant like breath itself. Essential, invisible, and irreplaceable. Replace it when the calendar says so, and you ensure that heat never claims your motorcycle before it's time. If you've ever learned a motorcycle lesson the hard way, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if you're getting value so far, hit that like button so more riders can find these hidden secrets. Number 13. Chain and sprocket harmony. The chain is the bridge between raw torque and the road. Every twist of the throttle flows through those steel links and sprocket teeth. When cared for, they work together in quiet harmony, delivering smooth, confident power. When neglected, the chain stiffens, sprocket teeth sharpen, and the drivetrain suffers a slow, grinding death. Proper care is not complicated. A chain cleaned, lubricated, and adjusted on schedule will last for years, yet the balance is delicate. Too tight and bearings grind under constant strain. Too loose and the chain thrashes itself into ruin, threatening to snap without warning. Precision is not optional. It is survival. One longtime rider recalled how vigilance saved his journey through the wide plains. A faint rattle under his boots told him the chain was drifting out of line. Because he carried the habit of checking tension and alignment, he stopped, corrected the problem, and continued on without trouble. Had he ignored it, he might have been stranded miles from help, with a broken chain cutting deep into the case. Stories like his remind us that harmony is not luck, it is earned. Every neglected chain shortens the life of sprockets, bearings, and transmission gears. Every well-tended chain multiplies the lifespan of all those parts. A rider who respects the harmony between chain and sprocket never fears long miles. He knows the motorcycle will answer with steady power, mile after mile, decade after decade. Chain care is not about polish or appearance. It is about trust, endurance, and the invisible partnership between man and machine. Keep the harmony alive, and the motorcycle will serve faithfully for a lifetime. The best maintenance starts with the right gear. We've prepared a list of tools, accessories, and riding essentials that every long-lasting motorcycle needs. Check the description for details. Number 12. The battery tender habit. A motorcycle's battery rarely fails from age alone. More often, it dies quietly from neglect. Weeks of sitting idle in a garage drain its strength, leaving it weak the next time the starter button is pressed. What seems like a sudden failure is usually the slow starvation of stored energy. The battery tender is the answer. Plugging in between rides keeps the charge steady, prevents sulfation on the plates, and ensures that the motorcycle answers the call every time. It is not just about convenience, it is about preserving the electrical heart of the machine. Without regular care, a battery loses more than voltage. Corrosion builds at the terminals, wires carry weaker current, and starter motors strain harder than they should. This hidden stress shortens the life of solenoids and charging systems, multiplying the cost of a simple oversight. The discipline of keeping a tender connected is one of those habits that separates riders who are always ready from those who are often left stranded. It takes only seconds, yet it pays back years of reliability. A machine that wakes up instantly after months of rest is a machine that can be trusted for long hauls and distant roads. A motorcycle without power is nothing but steel and rubber waiting in silence. A rider who respects his machine's battery ensures it never meets that fate. Connect the tender, keep the charge alive, and the motorcycle will reward you with faithful starts and dependable journeys season after season. Number 11. Tire pressure discipline. Tires are the only contact a motorcycle has with the road, and their health depends entirely on proper pressure. Too low and the sidewalls flex, the tread wears unevenly, and the motorcycle handles sluggishly. Too high and grip is lost. Comfort disappears and suspension components bear unnecessary strain. Checking tire pressure may seem minor, but it is a ritual of respect. A well-inflated tire extends its life by thousands of miles, keeps the motorcycle stable, and protects the rider from blowouts or sudden failures. The few moments it takes before a ride are among the most valuable minutes a rider can invest. One longtime rider told the story of a trip across the desert where his tire pressure check saved him. He noticed a slow leak in the rear tire, caught it early, and avoided the kind of heat buildup that leads to blowouts at highway speed. He credited his habit of checking pressure before every long ride with keeping him alive during decades of travel. Many riders rely only on feel, thinking the tires look fine or the ride feels steady. But air escapes slowly, invisibly. By the time it is noticed on the road, the damage is often already done. Respecting tire pressure is not just about comfort, it is about survival. Every mile depends on those few square inches of rubber. Keep them at the proper pressure, and the motorcycle will handle with confidence, preserve its suspension, and carry the rider safely across every journey. Number 10. Air filter awareness. Air is as important to an engine as fuel, and the filter stands as the gatekeeper. Dust, grit, and debris flow toward the intake with every mile, and the filter alone prevents that contamination from grinding against cylinders and valves. A dirty filter does more than reduce horsepower. It shortens the very life of the engine. When neglected, the filter clogs, airflow weakens, and combustion grows uneven. The motorcycle struggles for breath, mileage falls, and soot collects in places it does not belong. The unseen cost is increased wear on piston rings and valves, where dirt scrapes like sandpaper on every stroke. A clean filter restores strength. It allows the engine to breathe freely, burn fuel efficiently, and deliver steady power without strain. Replacing or cleaning it regularly ensures that every gallon of fuel is burned with purpose, not wasted fighting for air. Many riders overlook the filter because it is hidden, quiet, and unassuming. It does not demand attention the way oil or tires do, yet its importance is equal. A filter left to clog is a silent saboteur, stealing longevity mile by mile. Respect for the air filter is respect for the engine itself. Keep it clean, keep it free, and the motorcycle will respond with smooth, powerful combustion for years. The cost of care is small. The reward is an engine that never gasps, never chokes, and never lets the rider down. Number 9. The fuel stabilizer secret. Fuel is often taken for granted until the season changes and the motorcycle sits idle. Modern gasoline breaks down quickly, leaving varnish and gum that coat injectors and carburetors. What begins as hesitation on the first ride of spring can end as clogged jets, fouled plugs, and costly repairs. Fuel stabilizer is the unseen protector. A few ounces poured into the tank before storage prevents separation, keeps moisture from condensing, and preserves volatility. Instead of sour fumes and a reluctant start, the engine fires confidently, ready to ride. One longtime rider mentioned that he never put his machine away for the winter without treating the fuel. Decades of practice left him with a motorcycle that started every spring as if it had been ridden yesterday. His friends who neglected the habit often faced clogged lines and expensive shop visits before they could roll out again. He believed that discipline in this small detail was the difference between frustration and freedom. Many riders dismiss stabilizer as unnecessary, thinking fresh fuel in the spring will cure all problems. Yet once varnish forms inside narrow injector passages or carburetor circuits, cleaning is tedious and costly. A bottle of stabilizer, in contrast, costs little and takes seconds to pour. For riders who respect longevity, treating the tank is as important as changing the oil or checking the tires. It is a small step that shields the heart of the motorcycle. Protect the fuel, and the engine will answer eagerly, season after season, without complaint. Number 8. The brake fluid reality check. Brakes are trusted with a rider's life, yet their fluid is one of the most neglected elements on a motorcycle. Unlike oil or coolant, brake fluid quietly absorbs moisture over time. That moisture lowers its boiling point, invites rust into calipers and master cylinders, and turns sharp stopping power into a spongy, unreliable squeeze. Old fluid corrodes pistons, seizes calipers, and robs riders of confidence. By the time symptoms appear, the damage is already deep. Shops replace seized parts at great expense when a simple fluid change every couple of years could have prevented the failure entirely. Brake fluid is inexpensive, and replacing it is straightforward. Fresh fluid preserves the precision of hydraulic systems, protects seals, and ensures that stopping power is always there when it is needed most. The reality is clear. Riders who neglect their brakes gamble with control. No amount of horsepower or torque matters if stopping is uncertain. Confidence in braking is not just about safety. It is about trust in the motorcycle's response during every mile. A bike deserves more than worn-out fluid stealing away performance. The man who respects his machine treats brake fluid as vital, never optional. Replace it regularly, and the brakes remain strong, sharp, and faithful for years. Number 7. Chain alignment precision. A chain does more than carry power. It carries balance. When it runs true, the motorcycle glides forward with ease. When it drifts out of line, stress multiplies across sprockets, bearings, and the entire drivetrain. Misalignment is one of the smallest oversights that can cause some of the greatest costs. Checking alignment takes only minutes, yet the payoff is immense. A chain running slightly crooked eats sprocket teeth unevenly, stretches links prematurely, and transfers vibration throughout the frame. Left unchecked, it leads to failure that feels sudden but has been building quietly for miles. One longtime rider described catching misalignment during a long tour. He noticed the faint buzz of vibration through his foot pegs, stopped to check, and found the chain pulling against the sprocket at an angle. A quick adjustment set it right, and the motorcycle carried him another 2,000 miles without issue. He said that moment convinced him never to ride without checking alignment before every trip. Precision in alignment is not about vanity. It is about respect for the connection between man and machine. A true chain runs smooth, extends the life of bearings, and prevents costly damage from developing unseen. Take the time, measure carefully, and set it right. Alignment is a rider's quiet investment in longevity. Keep it precise, and the motorcycle will reward you with years of faithful, unbroken motion. Number 6. Ride smooth, ride long. Every motorcycle is built to endure, but how a man rides shapes how long it lasts. Harsh clutch drops, redlining a cold engine, and slamming through gears take years off a machine's life in silence. Steel is strong, yet it never forgets abuse. Smooth riding is not weakness, it is mastery. Rolling on the throttle with control, easing the clutch into motion, and letting the engine warm before asking for power are habits that add years to a machine. They keep the stress low, the wear light, and the spirit of the motorcycle intact. A group of seasoned riders once told a young man that every rough shift leaves a scar you cannot see. They explained that patience in the saddle is what separates those who keep their motorcycles for decades from those who rebuild them after only a few short years. Their advice was simple: smooth hands create long lives for both rider and machine. A bike responds best when treated with steady respect. Smooth riding preserves the transmission, extends clutch life, and protects engines from unnecessary strain. It is the kind of wisdom learned not from manuals, but from years on the road. Every ride offers the choice between aggression and patience. Choose smoothness, and the motorcycle answers with longevity. Number 5. The wash and protect ritual. Some believe washing is about vanity. In truth, it is preservation. Dirt, salt, and road grime are corrosive enemies. Left alone, they creep into seams, eat at chrome, and stain paint beyond repair. A clean motorcycle is not simply polished, it is defended. Regular washing removes the elements that shorten a machine's life. Wax adds a barrier against moisture, and a coat of protectant shields the parts that see the most punishment. These small acts hold back rust, extend the life of finishes, and keep hardware strong. There is an old saying passed down at gatherings: a man who washes his motorcycle knows it better than the one who does not. Every time a rider wipes the machine down, he discovers loose bolts, cracked seals, or signs of wear before they grow into failures. The act of washing is inspection as much as it is cleaning. A neglected motorcycle coated in grime tells its story without a word. Rust blooms on fasteners, cables fray unseen, and beauty fades long before its time. A respected motorcycle, cared for with water and wax, tells another story of pride, discipline, and longevity. This ritual is more than keeping a shine. It is about defending heritage, preserving strength, and honoring the machine that carries you across every mile. Number 4. Storage positioning. When a motorcycle rests, it should rest with care. Too many riders think storage is simply covering the seat and walking away. Yet the way a machine is parked shapes its future. Hot asphalt softens under a kickstand, tilting weight until the motorcycle leans too far. Damp ground invites rust to climb the frame. Careless placement leaves scars that no polish can erase. Storage positioning is the art of protecting a motorcycle at rest. A puck beneath the stand keeps weight steady. Covered parking shields against rain, sun, and wind. Avoiding cramped spaces prevents accidental scrapes and tip-overs. These small choices guard a machine as faithfully as maintenance on the road. A rider once remarked that he lost more paint and chrome in storage than on the highway. It was not miles that scarred his motorcycle, it was neglect while parked. From that day forward, he treated every resting place with the same respect he gave to the open road. A bike is more than a machine. It is a companion built for decades. Storage that ignores this truth steals life one scratch at a time. Storage that respects it keeps a motorcycle strong, steady, and ready for every new ride. Put it to rest with wisdom, and it will rise with strength. Number 3. The torque wrench truth. Every motorcycle is held together by bolts, threads, and fasteners. These are the unseen guardians of safety, keeping engines sealed, wheels aligned, and frames secure. Yet too many riders fall into the habit of tightening by feel alone, believing that a strong hand is better than a measured one. Over-tightening may hold for a time, but eventually threads strip, covers crack, and parts meant to last a lifetime are ruined in an instant. The torque wrench delivers truth. It does not guess. It signals when the fastener has reached the precise level of tension required. Engineers designed every bolt on a bike with a purpose, and that purpose is honored when the wrench clicks at its setting. It is not weakness to use the tool, it is respect. One mechanic with 50 years in the trade explained that more damage comes into his shop from careless wrenching than from hard miles on the road. He recalled broken studs in heads, warped clutch covers, and cracked cases, all traced back to riders who thought tight enough was good enough. He would shake his head and say, "The road is rarely what kills a machine. The garage is." With a torque wrench in hand, confidence replaces doubt. A rider knows his motorcycle is secured to the same standard as the day it left the factory. The threads remain strong, the parts endure, and the ride stays safe. Precision is not optional. It is survival. Honor the torque, and the motorcycle will repay you with decades of faithful service. Ignore it, and failure will come from your own hand. We're only getting started. Subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because the next tips might be the difference between a bike that dies young and one that outlives its rider. Number 2. Regular valve clearance checks. An engine breathes through its valves. They open and close thousands of times each minute, allowing fresh air and fuel to enter while exhaust is pushed away. That motion must be precise. When clearances shift, the balance is lost. Valves that tighten too much burn against their seats, while those that loosen hammer against their guides. The result is power lost, efficiency wasted, and eventually, failure. Valve clearance checks are often skipped because the motorcycle still runs. A rider may think, if it starts and rides, why worry? Yet damage grows quietly, unseen. A valve that is too tight does not give warning until it fails completely. By then, the repair is expensive and the engine's life is shortened. An old mechanic once showed 2 engines side by side. One had been checked regularly, adjusted when needed, and after 100,000 miles, still sounded strong. The other, neglected and ignored, was ruined before 30,000 miles. Its valves burned and seats destroyed. He pointed to them and said, "This is the difference between discipline and denial." The lesson is clear. Skipping valve checks is like gambling with the very breath of the engine. A rider who respects his motorcycle treats these inspections as essential, not optional. They are not glamorous, they do not shine like chrome, but they keep the heart of the machine alive. A bike is built to last decades. Regular valve clearance checks ensure that it breathes freely for all those years, strong and unwavering, mile after mile. Number 1. The warm-up wisdom. Engines are living machines, and like men, they need time to wake. Cold oil rests thick at the bottom of the sump, unable to coat bearings, rings, and cams until it circulates. The temptation to twist the throttle and roar away may be strong, but the cost is real. Every cold rev leaves invisible scars, metal grinding without protection, friction carving away at the future of the engine. Warm-up is not about idling endlessly in the driveway. It is about patience. 30 to 60 seconds is enough for oil to move through the passages, coat the parts, and prepare the engine for work. That simple pause preserves years of life. Riders speak of engines that failed early not because of poor design, but because their owners rushed the ritual. One man who rode for decades through harsh winters said the secret to his longevity was simple. "I never asked for power until I gave the engine a minute to breathe." His machine rewarded him with more than 200,000 miles of faithful service. The wisdom of warming up is not new, but it is often ignored. Those who respect it rarely face early rebuilds. Those who do not often find themselves paying for repairs that could have been avoided with a moment's patience. A bike is more than metal. It is a companion that deserves respect in every season. Give it that brief moment of warmth each morning, and it will repay you with strength, loyalty, and a voice that carries you across the miles for a lifetime. If these secrets gave you a new way to think about motorcycle care, let me know in the comments. I want to hear your own tips and stories. Don't forget to hit like if this helped you, and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss the next ride-saving secret.